So what's up? I'm just eating a piece of sourdough bread that I just got at the bakery.
I just fucking finished this book.
Oh my god. Really?
Oh my god, dude.
Did it ruin you?
It ruined now I have to talk to this woman
Oh my god.
without giving away spoilers. I'm shook. I am unwell.
Oh my god, I can't wait. I can't wait to read it.
Oh my gosh, dude, and now I have to wait a month until it comes out and, like, I can talk to the world about this book because it's so good. It is it's so good. Hey, Laura.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hey. Oh my gosh, the sweater. Perfect.
I know, I'm just learning. It's always, you never know how you're going to appear on like the different recording platforms. So, how are you guys?
Thrilled. We're so excited you're here.
Thank you.
We were just chatting and
Yes.
we got this lovely my first ever bound manuscript and Jonna's
Oh, yeah.
bound
I
manuscript.
know. I've never had one. I don't think I've ever had a truly bound. Sometimes they call them bound manuscripts, but they're arcs. They're just like not. They're not. Yeah, I have a few of those, but I've never had like the real one.
And I feel like now I have a little special edition of it.
They are special. I've only seen you all have them, and then another reader I know like
And
too.
I feel like I'm in Devil Wears Prada, like when I am reading this.
She has the Harry Potter manuscript delivered to him.
Yeah. Yes.
Seriously.
My twin's gonna do with one copy.
Literally.
It's a good
Sorry.
question. It is like a very good question.
So I'm not gonna lie because I can't hide it, but right before you came on, I always finish like who's coming. Like I finish their book literally 10 minutes before they sign on.
Are you okay?
I'm not okay. Thank you for asking. That's so kind.
Yeah, the last 20% is a wild ride. So
I don't
Don't
wanna
give
give
anything
anything
away.
I won't give. I mean,
Yeah.
all right, okay. I won't give anything away. I'll say this: there's only one rule in romance. The rest, just whatever.
That's
So
Yeah.
I'm
literally
chomping at the bit.
that was the first thing I said to Jenna because I was like, "How am I gonna wait a month to be able to talk about this with the whole world?" Because people are gonna talk.
I got tagged in something today where I guess some people had done like a buddy read on Discord, and it was very very funny. So they like sent me some stuff, and it was very.
A lot of our listeners are pre-published, either working on their first manuscript or they're self-published. Or the coolest part about being able to chat with you today is when you guys do get the opportunity to read this book, it is a love letter to the literary world in so many ways. It's so beautiful how you put this together. I have literally so many questions, and I don't know how I'm going to ask you questions without giving away anything. Um, but the first thing we really wanted to ask you is how did you pitch this? How was this book born? Was this idea born?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not my first novel.
Right.
My debut novel, the first book I ever wrote in earnest is my debut, The Best Worst Thing. So I had started a few books like as a child and then again in my 20s that like did not get anywhere. And then I started another book in earnest in 2000 and I don't know, 22 that I could not finish because I made like fatal mistakes, which was like banter was good, characters were hot, setting was good, but I had no idea what the characters wanted. And it just poisoned every scene. Like even when everything was going, I was like, it's really hot and it's like literally about nothing. But it was like very and I think it was like a fatal blow. And so I was like, let me take everything I learned about like scene building and actually give these characters, you know, desires that are like trackable. And so I ended up writing my debut like that, but I wrote my debut, you know, on spec, just like because I'm insane. Like most people write their books with no agent. And so I didn't know what would happen. And so while I was querying, I started working on Tropesick, like to just stay busy, like so that I wasn't just refreshing Query Tracker like every 3 minutes. Like that was able to get me down to like every 10 minutes, like by working on this other project. And so I wrote the first draft of that in a few months, and then by the time I had finished the first draft. I had an agent for my first book. By the time I was working on the second draft, I knew even if we didn't sell my debut that this would likely go out on submission. Which I think, but at that point the book was already like guts of the book was already written. Like the idea for this book, Katie Naiman is one of my like closest friends, the author who wrote You Between the Lines. And my first idea for this book, this was years before I met Katie, was like very, very similar to this. And I wanted to do very similar to her debut, which is that they're competing like MFA, they're in an MFA poetry program together and they're like writing poems at each other. And my original idea for this book was that Katie's twin brother had passed away and she's taking like a poetry class, like a continuing ed, like very cheap, like at the community college poetry class. And there was a man there who was her dead brother's best friend. And he is like a published author, super, super successful, but he's been having horrible writer's block. And so his agent told him to take this like community poetry low stakes class to like just get, and then they end up like kind of screaming at each other through a poem. And it's so similar to, it's not the same setup as Katie's book, but it's like the same poetry at each other premise. And that lived in my brain for about a week. And then I was like, oh my God, if you're going to do trope play, like do trope play. They should be writing a romance novel. Like, not, you know what I mean? Like, and so it just sort of evolved from there. And then when I sat down to start writing, it's just like weird. Like when I write, it's such like an improv class. I'm like, okay, like on the screen, like people just start like showing up. Like Pino the cat just like showed up on page, and I was like, all right, Pino the cat. Like, so there is an element of surprise to me. I'm not like a huge plotter. I usually have like enough of a concept or a structure that I can like. I always think about like writing as like, oh, it's like the pilot like it's a pilot episode. If you're thinking of like a 10-part series, like I should be able to generate a pilot without knowing much, just because I think that like I don't know, like ideas need to have like some element of like kinesis, like they need to be self-fulfilling where like I write one scene and they propel the next scene. Like if an idea is not doing that, then it's probably not a book.
Right,
Um
totally.
yeah. And how did I pitch this? I mean, I pitched it in a very glib, subversive way, which is like very, very similar to like the Deal Memo, which is like an all grown up girl next door is forced to ghostwrite a love story with her dead brother's best friend in forced proximity, only to learn that like all of the tropes that they're writing into their book are coming true. So it's sort of like, because I think like the benefit of tropes and like the title of the book or whatever is that like the tropes do so much that you're like, oh, this is literally a book, this is a rom-com, and then beneath the surface it's going to subvert all of that, and it's very obvious, like simply by denoting that the brother is dead. Like that's just this immediate instant subversion of brother's best friend, which is like, oh, it's still brother's best friend, it's just going to be it's just going to be a huge mess, you know. And so I think this book sort of like pitched itself, which is sort of lovely. So yeah. Now that's like my 9-minute answer to your question about how
I
we
just
pitched this
attended
book.
a TED Talk. That was exactly what I needed today.
Yeah.
It feels like
That
that.
was
I love when you said that it's like an improv thing experience for you because it totally reads like that in the best way. I think it like now that I've read the product of what you like are talking about, like it's you continually surprise the reader, and it's not like if you're listening, it is not a typical rom-com. It is in the best way, and you start reading it thinking like, okay, I know this story. Like I know obviously it's a trope, like they're all tropes but you don't at all. You don't even know a
And
little
that's kind of
bit.
like the fun thing. I mean, so many people will tag me when they're like 20% in. They're like, I can't stop laughing. And I'm like, that is not going to hold. Like, you know, like it is, like that is a first
buckle
act
up.
gift. Like, but I think to me, Tropesick is so much about, like, I think there is this misunderstanding not in the romance community, but even like for me as an author, and like for anyone else who's writing romance, which is that like we can't talk or do hard things, right, or that we need to like sand down those edges. And then it's like, I don't know, like listen to the new Noah Kahan album, like yeah, like actually there is a bigger appetite for like grit than we realize, and, like, there is a lot of safety and comfort in delivering those experiences to people, like, with at least one promise, which is, like, guy's gonna get the girl. Do you know what I mean? Like, the rest of it is whatever, like, we're going on an adventure, but, like, they're gonna have each other at the end, like, do you trust me, right? And I think, the romance genre is so big, and I find it, like, very, very, very exciting that now more than ever, there is literally a book for every type of reader just within the genre, right? And it's like
Yes.
and for me, like, as someone, like, who I studied literature in college, like, I read really, really broadly, and, like, I personally and, like, Kate, now you can attest to this, am interested in pulling in all sorts of literature into my romance work, you know? And so, like, there's a lot of, like, Fitzgerald play on this. Tyler is a speculative fiction writer. He's really interested in, like, organs outside of the body. Like, there's all sorts of, like, weird interests that these characters have, and it's like, I don't think, like, that those things need to be removed from a novel just because it's a romance novel. Like, we all deserve to go on literary adventures, and then there's the one rule, you know? And so, like, that I think hopefully, like, goes back to, like, that improv idea, which is, like, I think that spirit of writing for me allows me to maintain, like, a sense of adventure as a novelist who hopes to do this long term. And I hope that, like, that sense of adventure, which is like when I'm as surprised as you are, right? When something weird happens in the book, like, comes, like, I believe that the reader can feel that. Right. And so it's also why I won't outline. I just won't do it. I don't do it, guys. Like, every time I try it, like, it's just bad. And it's not that I don't, like, have vibes. Like, sometimes I know where I'm, but where I'm going is never as important as where the book takes me. Like, I'm always willing to turn sharp. Do you know what I mean? If, like, something else appears.
That's, like,
So, trust
so
me, it is
quotable.
the easier, softer way. Like, I know a lot of people who are like, "No, no, no, the outline, the outline." I honestly believe that, like, once your characters tell you what to do, like, the work
Yes.
is done. Like, that is right. I'm like, "Alright, go live your life, and I will report it," you know? And so,
Yes!
yeah. Yeah.
It's like you almost the development of the characters is what develops the story almost, right?
Right, because it's character first, and so it's one of those
Correct.
things where, like, I just finished writing, like, a nameless, faceless project that I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about, and it's one of those things where for a while I was like, "Is it better? Is it worse?" Like, I so desperately wanted to kind of, like, rank it in my micro canon that I've been working on for the past few years, and it's like, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because this is the story. Right, like, of course, every reader can rank their M-Pens, like, they have, you know what I mean? Like, they're gonna have their ranking, and that's based on, like, your personal experiences, but if we are delivering, like, character first love stories every time, like, how do you right? It's like it's really a matter of preference, like, there are so it's about, like, what it took for these characters to, like, find their way to each other, like, that's the lift of the story, and so, like, it's really like comparing I don't know, I just, like, I don't and I think there's, like, this huge relief for me. I, like, talked to this about, like, with writer friends about being, like, oh, evaluating your work through superlatives. So instead of being like, "This book is better than my last," or "This book is worse than my last," but, like, "This is my sexiest book yet." Like, "This is my most mature book yet." Oh, like, "This is my most, self-aware book yet." Like, "This is my most" I don't know, campy, but, like, right, and it's just like, oh, like, thinking of it in that way, which is like your book has all sorts of things going for it that are, like, new and special, even if it's not your most, like, technically ambitious or, like, structurally complicated or something like that, you know? And I think, like, for me, after writing a book like Tropesick, which is structurally very complicated and, like, non-linear timelines, like, lots of plot twists, there's, like, different types of narration, I sort of felt like I was kind of nervous to write, like, a simple book after that because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, like, the reader expectation is gonna be that I'm always gonna do some really, like, complex, challenging, wild thing," but, like, at the end of the day, it's like what we said, it's like, no, like, you make the book as weird as the character's love story requires. Do you know what I mean? We
Yes.
don't, like, set out to be like, "I'm
Yes.
gonna make a weird book." It's like, "No, I'm gonna tell this story, and the story will tell me how to craft, like, the structure of the book, and that includes, like, flashbacks and, like right? Like, putting, like, media cutouts or, like, newspaper articles and but, like, there's all sorts of times where that's necessary, and sometimes it's just, like, not the story. So I'm, like, trying to learn how to be, like, less judgmental of my work and more, like, character focused because I think it allows us to evaluate our work, like, more kindly, you know?
Yeah. I
So,
love that.
yeah.
I love that.
I'm like, "Kate, are you okay? Do we need to have"
I love that. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah, I need to hear that for sure.
like, what
Yes.
is going on? Should we do some manuscript therapy? Like
No, and, like, I've everybody that we interview, it's been a journey for me because my book comes out at the end of this month, and so, this whole journey of the podcast and, like, getting to talk to authors at all levels and points in their journey has been, like, me getting the best advice or, like, just soaking in, like, what their experience has been and, like, me getting to ask them about different parts of the journey that I'm going through, and it's been so nice and cathartic. Anyway, hearing that has been really has been really great. And
It's like
yeah,
you also get the perspe you get like we get such like a unique perspective, not just like a pitch me your book, like tell me what it's about, but it's really just the people behind it. Like that's why we even made this podcast is because we wanted to like connect with authors and agents and other readers like as individuals of
mhm.
how they create. And it yes, it gets absolutely absurd and unhinged sometimes, but like it's also just like, there's no barriers to entry, there's no gatekeeping, it's just like, "Tell us how you're feeling," because that's where we're all at, like, we're all writers, so clearly we're all feelers. So
yeah, and hearing your approach is fascinating, especially
Yes.
after reading this and especially thinking about the romance genre, and I love the idea that you're like, it's just because it's romance, it doesn't mean that it's not elevated, and I think that what I loved about this is that it's romance, and you are proving that you can still have things to say in your work and have
There's, like, a
more.
line in the book where Meredith calls Tyler out on this, like, early in the book where she's like, "Let me guess you don't read romance," and he's like, "No,"
Can I guess
and she's like
which
she
one
kind of
you're referring
yeah,
to?
right, and it's the one where he's like, "Oh," like, we're like, she says something I think she says it, maybe he says it, where she's like, "Let me guess, you think a book's not worth your time if it doesn't, like, teach you something new about the world," like, something like that, like, as if there's not some right, as if it's like as if every romance novel has the same lesson.
Yeah, I literally was
Right,
just
which
gonna
is just, like,
refer to
total
that part.
BS. Yeah, and I think, it was so fun to write Tyler because he's so clearly wrong, right? Like, he's so clearly wrong, but it's also but the book takes, like is a slow drip of him learning why he's wrong, and I think, like, more importantly, I'm able to put in his mouth, like, all of the rude things that have ever been said to me about my passion and my life's work, and then let a character like Meredith, who is essentially, like, somebody combined, like, Nora Roberts, Jay Gatsby, and Stephen King, and, like, threw her in the Hamptons, right? So, like, she's just printing money, and, like, she doesn't give a shit what you think, you know? And she's gone to Iowa Writers Workshop, like, she went to Princeton, like, she has all of this pedigree, and there's this moment where they're, like she's looking at these novels with Tyler, all these, like, fancy, fancy literary novels, and he's, like, in all of them, and she's like, "I could do that." You know, and it's like it has never once occurred to Tyler, who's outside of the genre, that, like, we're not writing romance because 'cause we're bad, like, we're writing romance because we choose to, and you know what I mean? And it is not like a different it is not like this, like, sharp left turn, you know what I mean, from being an author. It's just, like, where like romance writers want to spend their time. It's like where they're interested in doing the work. And I think it was so satisfying for me to kind of like create mouthpieces for this argument. And obviously I'm not the first person to do it. It's been happening in literature forever. But there was something about Meredith's power, like the power dynamic that she had over Tyler, where Tyler would like kind of deign to um insult the genre in the palace that romance built, right? And like in this Hamptons house, which is like a bazillion dollars. That is like sort of subversive in the way that I want the novel to be, right? Where like everything has just been sort of turned on its head for this like pseudo intellectual man, and then of course he's just down bad, yearning and pathetic because like even he cannot resist a spunky redhead because like the genre tells us so, and I think there's so much fun to be had there. Have you guys read Into the Blue yet?
I mean,
I
No.
don't know what the face means. Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk later, but there's this line in there. They're comedians where she says something like the funniest thing you can say is the truth. And I'm just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
That's how I
right?
talk
Where it's
about
just
this
like
one.
so many of these self-aware books do that. And it makes for such a fun, satisfying read to be like, So
That's what I'm not somebody who marks up books at all, but I
No, you're
underlined
not.
exactly what you're talking about. I literally was like, when he says, "You know what," which Meredith says, "You know what I think, Tyler, when I sit down to write?" And she said, "Haven't I suffered enough?"
Meredith is such a king.
Oh my okay, please tell
Like,
me.
just telling this to this, like, long-suffering short story writer who went to Brown and has, like, covered his body in tattoos, and then, like, Nicole Kidman is just like, "You're a fool," and he has to just eat it, you know? We love to see them look stupid.
Oh, it's very satisfying.
Can I ask you if I'm correct in this? I'm getting hashtag Team Jess vibes from Tyler a lot.
Yes, that's in the marketing. We're like, "Just but worse" is the hashtag.
Love it.
Yeah, and I think it's because they're all built from the same intellectual bad boy
Jack
angst,
Kerouac.
teenage
Yeah,
prototype. Yes. They're all built from that, like the performative paperback in the back pocket used bookstore, like that sort of
The
like
Strand.
ruin your life, that vibe. And I think like a lot of that is like, early era Brad Fisher, like that, I think when I was talking to my marketing team about this, and I was like, okay, imagine the boy who ruined your life was secretly in love with you. Like, that is the fantasy, right? Like, that is the fantasy
yeah.
we're selling. Like, the guy in high school who was like, never wanted you and always hurt you. And well, it turns out he's been secretly pining for you for 8 years, right? And it's like, oh, and I think the work in this book was to like pull in all of these sort of like fantastical romance desires that the reader had and that Katie would have as a voracious romance reader, right? As somebody who was ingesting 2 of these a day on summer vacation. Like when her frontal lobe was like doing all of its initial processing is like, right, this is the way she sees the world, petals on the bed when she loses her virginity. Like that, like right, like this is the plan. Like she's been reading YA, and I think like I wanted to deliver on all of that, like the kicking and screaming, right? Of like, I can't believe it's me. I can't believe he picks me. But I wanted it to be like grounded, Like I also wanted it to be able to hold up in real life. Like, oh, if these tropes were actually true, and I injected them into this like nothing Long Island town, and the brother was dead. Like, what would that have looked like? Do you know what I mean? Like, actually, like, what is like, and like with the interior of being like, I'm a big believer in like you can do anything you want in a work of fiction as long as you and the characters are like committed to the bit. Like Sky Daddy, where she wants to bang the plane. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, if you're gonna do that for 400 pages and you're gonna own it, like you're gonna get a book club. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like go, like do it. Like, you need to be a believer if you want your readers to believe. And so, like, to me, like the interior work is like, okay, well, like, what does it look like for Katie and Tyler to actually be these tropes because like it's not gonna be one dimensional. They have to be nuanced people. Like Katie is sunshine, she can still scream at people and tell you to F off. Do you know what I mean? Like just because she's a speck of glitter doesn't mean that she's not like angry. You know what I mean? And so like a golden retriever can still bark. I've seen it happen. It's very weird. A golden retriever lunged at me the other day on a walk, and I was like, no, like, like I'm like, you need to reprint this. Like, but
There was
I
a
think
glitch
like
in the matrix.
yeah, I'm like, okay. But yeah, I think like that is so much of the fun of this book. Like for me, that sense of adventure that kept me writing Is being like, okay, well, like, even if these characters were like 3D printed from their tropes, like, but then they went and lived. So now they've been weathered in a very specific way that has nothing to do with their tropes, right? That has to do with just their lived experiences. And so I wanted all of that to show up on the page. And it kept me very busy, which is what you want to be as a writer. You want to be busy. You don't want to be fluffing. You want there to be work to do. Yeah.
Like, you were almost trying to, like, keep up with them.
Yeah, and this one was brutal too, I will say, because, like, my debut was non-linear, but single POV, and this was non-linear, 2 POVs, plus there are extra little, like, I don't know what we would call them, but, like, there's these little sections, mini sections of the tropes that they're writing, and so when I had to edit it, like, whenever my editor was like, "What about?" And I'd be like, "Ugh," because it would be, like, a month of work to make one small change because of all of like, the different like, it was like a train set, right? And it's like, oh, we, like, tweaked one thing and, like, the whole roller coaster was derailed. So lovely, lovely to edit. Just like truly a labor of love to, um, write this and then change it. Um, and that's probably why my next book, I'm like, straight line." Um, but I think what I'm most proud of when I think about this book is, like, I had this idea for the structure of it in my head, and then I spent, like, a year chasing it, like, and it just was falling short, falling short, falling short, like, right, I had this idea and, like, do you guys read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. So, they talk when Sadie talks about building like, she talks about her, like, video game engineering, and she says at some point, the narrator says that her taste exceeded her capabilities. And so she was constantly trying to engineer something that she was not yet capable of, like, right, and that is, like, so how I feel about book writing, which is, like, well, on day 1, I have the vibes, and then I have whatever slop, like, I generated in Scrivener, and it's, like, not a match, right, and every day I show up trying to sort of, like, raise the bar, and you're certainly not there at the end of the first draft. I usually start to see it around the end of the second. I'm like, "This is starting to look like what I wanted." Um, and, like, the long term like, the dopamine hit you get around, like, month 15 when you're like, "It's the shape!" Like, right? Where it's, like, after just, like, year plus of, like, tiny excavation, it's, like, finally starting to match that is very, very exciting. Like, it's such a
Yeah.
long-term goal. Yeah.
Do you feel like at this point, now that you're and not that these are your only 2 books you've ever written, clearly, we've all written a lot more than, like, what comes out, but at this point, do you feel like, as somebody who doesn't outline or doesn't plot, that you've kind of perfected the process, at least, of what you do?
Well, I do outline and I do plot. It's just that those things never give me what I think they're gonna give me. So, like, it's not a thing where it's like I often will find that at some point in a book, I do need to sit down and think about what's going to happen next long term, simply to know, but then I end up never writing those scenes. But it's like at some point I'm not able to just like go into the unknown. But I've also found that like it's what the outlining is different than sort of understanding your like central beats, right? Which I think are like, and that's why I'm such a big believer in that improvised first 50 pages. Is often your characters will tell you where the book needs to go. They will like eventually, and it's like we've read enough and consumed enough like television to understand that at some point around 10 to 15%, someone's just going to be like, "Oh, let's make a list." Like, do you know what I mean? That like there's going to be an inciting incident, and I have found that waiting for my characters to tell me, who I've now spent 50 pages with or 30 pages with, waiting for them to tell me what this book is going to be about is better is key, which isn't to say that I don't create a setup. Like for my debut, I was like, I knew that I wanted a woman who was undergoing fertility treatment to find out that her husband was having an affair, and then I wanted her to get drunk immediately and show up at her old Jim Halpert's house, right? And just be like, let's see what happens, right? But it was like, but I wasn't like, okay, and then on page 200, they're going to be in New York City, like right in 3 years ago or whatever. It was more like, oh, I've seen this film before. Like, right? It's like getting myself to a place where I'm like, okay, well, they obviously had a thing, so what is the story there? And then that is what I am unpacking. So to me, I think, like, it's more that my first draft is my outline,
Mm. That's
and then
yeah, that's a
and
good way
then
to
my
put it.
second draft is when I'm in the driver's seat, and, like, I feel like I have more control of the story because I actually have less, like we talked about, because now I know my characters and I know what they wanna do, and now I can start sculpting that story into something that is well-paced and meaningful. But it's like, I do know what I do know for sure is that every book I start is a partial lobotomy.
And there's the
Like,
sound bite.
yeah, like on day 1, I'm like, I always on day 1, I'm like, "You know what I should do is outline." Like, even though every time I've outlined, right, it's like, "Bleh," like, this has only gotten so much worse, you
Yeah.
know? Because I think that so much of writing is failing. So you're
Yes.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna outline this book into the ground," and then you're like, "Well, this is all trash, so I guess I'm not gonna go back and do this another way," or, "Oh, I just outlined this and none of it works," or, "Oh, like, all of this has lost its heart because actually I should let what happens in scene C determine what happens in scene D, not what
Mhm.
me, somebody who was writing scene A, thought should happen 20 pages later after not being there," you know? But I think a lot of it is, like, it's like a really dynamic and challenging process because I keep getting better,
Yes. Yeah.
which is actually everyone's like, "Oh, that must make it so much easier." No.
It's like you, uncover new gifts.
No, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like I used to just be able to write for 3 months, like, "Da, da, da," and if something didn't make sense, I don't know, because I didn't know it didn't make sense, and now I'm, like, on page 3 of writing a new book, and I'm like, "Well," I was like, "If her mother went to Emory in 1960, wouldn't she know, like, this grandfather from this other thing, and wouldn't that affect their social status in the town, and so how could he just show up at her house?" And it's like, oh, like, I have found these plot holes that normally would take me 5 or 6 months to find, and I am finding them almost upon first thought,
Mhm.
and so, like, a lot of that, like, heavy lifting that used to happen in the second draft is happening sooner, and it can feel really discouraging, like, where a first draft used to feel like really good vibes, and I was like, "Everyone's flirting, I'm making stuff up, like, this feels amazing," and some of, like, the hard work has started to sneak in sooner, and it's made first drafts actually, like, a real drag for me, but it has made second and third drafts, like, kind of magical because I feel, like, the whole crux of novel writing is, like, you can't write anything until you understand the story, and you can't understand the story until you've written the whole book, so you figure it out, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
And it's just like and one you just I so I think for me, having done this, I mean, 3 times now that I've gotten to the end of a story and then had, like, people be like, "It's good," you know? Um is just being like, "Oh, you just trust that you have created" back to, like, where we started, like, if you have created dynamic, powerful, interesting, flawed characters who have made mistakes and continue to make mistakes and have a lot to learn and a lot to do to grow, then I just have to believe that I'm good enough at this that I'm gonna get them there in a way that is interesting and hot and special. Um,
It's hot.
Mostly because I have so much ADHD that I'm like, yeah, if I'm no longer getting dopamine, I'm gonna be doing something else. So, like, it's that is my litmus test if I'm, like, still interested, that I'm like, "Okay, this must be alright." But I think I really think that that is, like, the thing that I have come to believe is that, like, I'm less concerned about concept, I am more concerned about, like, 2 nuanced people grading against each other and, like, seeing what comes out, because, like, that's almost the one thing I can guarantee. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense?
It actually makes
Yeah.
so
So
much
much
sense.
sense. I love it. And
Like, it
Yay!
I'm so glad because we went into this episode just being like, usually sometimes we have the hook, right? Sometimes we'll be like, we need to do an episode on writing your second book. Okay, who are we going to get for this one? And this one I was like, I just want to talk to her. And I feel like we're going to pull the hook out of the episode, which is like exactly
I'm
what
a
your
yacker.
vibe is.
Yeah.
And
You
so, like,
just pull.
no, I was like, I feel like something's going to just come out of this episode like super naturally, and that's,
yes.
like,
Yay!
exactly what you do, so it worked out super well, so, um,
Like, I
it was
can't tell
awesome.
you how much it resonated with me and, like, my very type A controlling, I need to plan out, like, every situation in my life, like, option A through Z, um, to hear you say that, like, outlining is okay, but it's also okay to chuck it out the window when you've, like, uncovered a little gem almost, like, from what your characters are showing you.
Yeah, and the outline is really good for pacing, right? Because 'Cause you're like, you
Correct.
know, "Oh, conflict needs to happen," but, like, if you guys can fight about anything that makes sense is fair game, right? Like,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I love outlining because, yeah, I get, like, way too carried away. I'm like, "I wanna dig in deeper." You wanna have a fight about this? Let's double down on that shit. So
You know, it's interesting. I've always wondered because my issue with outlining, other than all of the issues that I have vomited
Correct.
into this podcast, is that once a scene is compressed, I have trouble expanding.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? I'm like, "Well, if I know the
Mhm.
point of the scene, why am I writing that?"
Yeah.
That is my chief issue with outlining. Is like, "Oh, you've already told me why it matters, so what are you just gonna yap at each other for 4 pages and then get to the point that I already know?" And this is me as a writer because we're all different creative creatures. Is that, like, I have such a dopamine deficiency that if I need to find the thing at the bottom of the treasure chest, like a rabid dog, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, "Ugh," right? And I think that other people can know that it's there and do it, but for me, like, I'm always looking for, that, like, four-leaf clover, and it's, like, that thing that I'm just like, I just believe that it's there, and then there are definitely times where I'm like, "Well, turns out it wasn't there for 9 chapters.
You're like, "Well,
There was a
crap."
risk."
Well, yeah, that's why
So,
I asked you about process because with this, my debut, I'm the same way. I just sit down, I do it, it's cathartic, I write whatever I need to write that day, and then it takes me wherever it takes me, but it took me fucking 10 years to do it because I kept
yeah,
being like,
yeah,
well, now I've had this life experience, and so that can I feel strongly about I'm gonna put that in here, and I have something to say about this. So then now with the second book, I'm just like, I need to take some fucking control over this process because this cannot
yeah,
take me 10
yeah.
years again.
Yeah, I
I
mean, it's
Oh
true, and
god.
it's a real business question. There's a very good book on this by a literary fiction author named Matt Bell, and he wrote a craft book called Refuse to Be Done. And it talks about the exploratory draft, then the second draft, and then the third, right? And all of those are not really one draft. It's over and over and over again until you've got it. I'm a big believer in that. I do think that, like, with my first, I overexplored, like we said, where it was like, I do think that, like, with time, you do get better at being like, okay, like, I kind of know when they're going off track or when I am generating duplicate scenes.
That was
So,
always my
right, and
biggest
that's the
issue.
big thing. It's
Yep.
like, oh, I'm a funny person. So if they thought of something funny, they will think of something else funny to say later. Like,
Mhm.
there are jokes that are very funny that have been killed, but often it's that, right, of being like, oh, I am not learning anything new
Mhm.
about this scene, and it is not like, about these characters, and it is not moving the story forward. I need to go back and get back on track. Even if I don't know what the track is, I know that this is a duplicate, right? And I think, like, that is the fastest way, and I think there is you do lose something in that because I went off track so much in my debut. I really felt like I knew Nicole and Logan too well because I had so many deleted scenes with them that I had all of this lore. So it's not useless. Like, it can show back up in, like, these other conversations or whatever, but it is not the story. Right. And I think
Right.
Matt Bell does a really good job in this craft book about teaching you to sort of remove whatever is not the story. And that's really a second draft
That's a good
issue.
way,
Yeah.
yeah, and it always felt to me like, that saying about accessories, I don't know who said it, Chanel or somebody said Elizabeth
Chanel,
Taylor?
yeah,
Chanel.
supposedly.
Yeah, when they're like, "When you're leaving the house, like, remove one accessory." That's literally how I feel about my writing. I'm like, "Okay, I need to remove one of these characters. This is too many. Like, a character needs to go, this needs to be simplified," or, like, because you are just
He's
like
yeah, it's a great book for you. He talks a lot about that, where he's like and he talks about not fixing it right away, which I think is very difficult for us perfectionists,
Ooh,
but it's one of those things
yes.
he's like, "You're gonna have to change everything anyway, just continue." and it makes me sick. It makes me so sick, and I can't do it in my first act. My first act ha but at some point, I get so tired that I stop, and then when I'm changing it all in the second, I'm always like, "Stupid Matt Bell was right again." Like, I didn't need to be changing any of this because I changed it all anyway.
My god, like, I feel so, like I feel
Yeah, that
targeted.
that book will just gut you from the insides because it's just, like,
Mm,
it's so and I have a whole list. I'll send you guys my list of, like, my craft
please.
books that I'm obsessed with. None of them are romance craft books,
Totally fine.
which I think sort of is fun because most of us, if you're a romance writer, like, well, you've just read so much romance that you're like, "I don't know what to do." And then these are books that are just really talking about character and writing and the act of, like I mean, Magdal talks about putting every word in your book on trial for its life, which is like I love drama, so I just think that's, like, such a sexy and serious way of thinking about our manuscripts, but my debut was 118,000 words before I queried it, and I didn't change the story at all, and I got it down to 98, like, without changing the story.
Mhm.
Like, which means that a more consolidated version of that story that I could tell that was better because it didn't need to be 480 pages long, right?
Yep, yep.
And like that was not I cut maybe like paragraphs here and there, but that was mostly done on a line level over time. Like I didn't cut chapters.
Mhm.
And so like there's sort of like unlimited things that we can do out there, I think, to to improve our work, which is both very terrifying and very empowering. You can't do it all. So you just like read a few of these things and you take what you can and I don't know. I hit like a I wouldn't say a bottom, but I hit like I really struggled creatively at some point with the creation of Tropesick because I was pretty sure it was going to be published and that the fear of perception was starting to change my creative process and it was like more interesting to go see if I had been tagged on any good reviews on Instagram than to focus on my own craft. And I remember one night I was like really struggling and I put my kid to bed, I told my husband to go away, and I just like I came into my office and I made tea and I turned on the lights and like I put on a record and I put on like the twinkle lights and I was like, you need to romanticize the hell out of writing this book because like you are living the dream. Like this is what you have wanted as a little girl. You are a published author. Like you are creating something that did not happen. like you are writing a book. And like shut up. Like shut up and enjoy it. And I think so much of it is like when I feel pressure or when I feel scared or when like the answer is not like more internet. The answer is like going back to the art. Do you know what I mean? And it's hard because it's like it's harder work, but, like, to, like, pinch yourself and realize that you are, like, that I get to be a storyteller, and, like and that is a huge privilege, and to, you know what I mean? And, like, to show up for that and, like, whatever Taylor Swiftian way you wish, like, is, like, a good perspective shift, you know, as someone who sobs at the keyboard, like, multiple
God,
times a
why
Yeah,
week.
am I
Yeah.
crying almost?
that's why we made this podcast. So thank you for putting it in that frame because
Yeah, well, you guys are here romanticizing the art of it because I think and I'm sure we're over because I won't
I
shut up,
don't
but, like,
care.
it's like
I I know.
it is, like, the one thing I think, like, in this publishing world where it's like someone gets this and you don't, and you get this and someone doesn't, and this and that and this and that, and Barnes& and Noble and this and right? And it's just, like, all of this stuff, and I talked about this on a podcast I was on last week too, but, like, at the end of the day, it's you and the blank page, like, that
That's
is
the
what you
relationship.
control, that is it, like, that's the art, and the rest of it is business. And, like, we as artists, like, you have to protect the spark, right? And
Yeah,
to me, you protect the spark through continuing education,
that's
right?
yeah,
Like,
that's the
but, like,
advice.
really, like, you protect the spark by, like, listening to music that moves you or reading a book that you're like, "Sh I need to level up, like, I'm so inspired," right? Or, like, it's, like, by like, you know, and I need to, like, practice what I preach with that, which is, like, I am at my happiest when I am reading a novel that blows my mind. And then, like and the only thing and that is matched only by, like, I don't know, arcing my characters, right? Like, or that feeling we talked about of, like, finally seeing that your book is the shape that you hoped that it would be, right? Like, those sorts of feelings and, like, just, like, learning how to protect all of that in this world
Yeah.
is, like, that's the job, you know?
Yeah. That's so beautiful. I could talk to you for another 2 hours, so, like, we are
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a hard stop on it so that we don't take any more of your time. I will say, like, if if you are your happiest when you're reading a book, you are the same as so many of us, and you are gonna make so many people happy with this book. Like, it is oh my
Hopefully.
god, it is so amazing, and
Not that it matters.
literally, it was
The art belongs to you now.
thank you. Thank you for the art because it was
Dude,
a
thank you
joy.
guys for having
It was a
me.
joy.
This was fun. I just realized I have my little romance. I'm, like, so thematic today. I'm ready.
It's so you're right on.
I'm a really unhappy person, so, like, my whole house is, like, decorated, like, by someone who is, like, deliriously happy, I think, to, like, just raise so I'll be, like, crying in bed, and there's, like, a pillow on the other side of the room that's like, "Yay!" It's just like, "Yay," needlepoint. But, what can you do?
God, I'm like,
Yeah.
I love it.
I feel that so much.
Oh my god, I wanna be your best friend.
Like,
Obsessed with her.
I I don't even know how to articulate how much I needed that.
She made it so easy. She's so easy to talk to.
Well, not only that, but, like, what she said was so insightful and so, like, tangible.
So normal.
Fuck. Yeah, totally, totally normal, and
Totally
I'm
grounded
over
and
the moon.
normal and, like, it's like and she's one of us. She's one of us.
One of us. This has been another episode of Margs and Manuscripts. Thanks for listening. Your hosts are Jen G. Judith, Cait Winelovich. Our writer and public relations manager is Cait Winelovich. Music by John Winelovich. Editor, Jenna G. Judith. Creative direction, Jenna G. Judith. And our podcast manager, Cait Winelovich. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz. Visit our website at margsandmanuscripts.com, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.